but reflects what the Trump administration believes is a generous amount that will maintain the U.S.'s status as the world's largest humanitarian donor. In other news, AP correspondent Julie Walker reports on a deadly helicopter crash in New Jersey.
2 helicopters crashed in New Jersey Sunday morning in what the FAA says was a mid-air collision that killed one pilot and critically injured another. Video from the scene shows a helicopter spinning rapidly to the ground. The emergency response caught on Broadcastify.com.
9 Patient 5 personnel respond out to the area of 100 Basin Road for 2 helicopters crashing. 100 Basin Road for a helicopter crash.
The Hamilton Police Department says rescuers responded to a report of an aviation crash at about 11:25 a.m. Police and fire crews extinguished flames that engulfed one of the helicopters. The FAA says it was a mid-air collision between 2 Enstrom helicopters, one an F-28A, the other a 280C, over Hamilton Municipal Airport. Only the pilots were on board each aircraft. I'm Julie Walker.
Asian shares were mostly lower today. U.S. futures were little changed. This is AP News. A powerful winter storm is threatening to bring blizzard conditions to the upper Midwest. Areas along the northern Great Lakes could get more than a foot of snow. Whiteout conditions could make travel impossible in some areas. In sports, a former Wimbledon finalist has beaten the top-ranked women's tennis player in the latest Battle of the Sexes in Dubai.
Nick Kyrgios has won the latest version of the Battle of the Sexes in tennis. He beat top-ranked women's player Aryna Sabalenka 6-3, 6-3 in an exhibition match that represented light entertainment rather than another landmark moment for gender equality. There was laughing and joking between the players, some underarm serves, over-the-top grunting on shots, and even some dancing from Sabalenka during a timeout. The Battle of the Sexes name was borrowed from the 1973 match between Billie Jean King and Bobby Riggs, which King won in straight sets. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A wind advisory remains in effect. We'll see periods of snow showers here early today, otherwise cloudy skies, areas of blowing snow likely as well, with a high into the lower 20s. Northwest winds at 20 to 30 miles per hour, gusting as high as 45. Then for tonight, cloudy and windy, a low near 16. By Tuesday, mostly cloudy, high around 28 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 16.
Taxes was feeling so stuck. Sitting in traffic, squeezing into a parking spot, all to squeeze in getting tax help during your lunch break. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert who does your taxes for you, while you go about your day getting real-time notifications about their progress and the most money back guaranteed. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Only available with TurboTax experts. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app.
Chicago's progressive talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Monday morning, progressives. Yeah, that's right. We're back from Christmas. Chins up, shoulders back. Let's fight. 773-763-9278. Welcome to the December 30th, first full day after the end of the week day of after Christmas. How about that? Got to give everything a label sometimes. 773-763-9278. Find my show on Facebook Live and all the socials. You know, Spoutable, X, Instagram. No, not. I mean, yeah, no, we can't find the show on Instagram. Those places. Stuck on. We make it happen. That's right. But make your way over to heartlandsignal.com to catch all of our shows and broadcasts. That's where you can find Joan Esposito, Live, Local, and Progressive, the wonderful Patty Vasquez driving you home, and it's the Democracy Stupid with Edwin Eisendrath. So there you go. All the places you can go and hang out to check out our shows, but it all starts with Heartland Signal. And there's a reason for that, because their digital platform is strong. Those guys really get it done there. Thanks for hanging out with us last week. We had the best of shows on Christmas Day and on the day after Christmas. Hope everybody was safe in their celebrations of the Christmas holiday and Kwanzaa and all the rest. But one thing for sure, I know that a lot of people that I saw on social media, people were posting like nobody's business. So I hope everybody that was out and about was safe. Their travels were safe. They didn't, do anything that caused them any consternation. But at the end of the day, I hope you had a good holiday, a good Christmas, a good happy holiday, a good Kwanzaa, and all the rest. And of course, we celebrate for those who celebrate Hanukkah as well. So I don't want to miss anybody. Don't want to catch the ire of someone that says, you didn't say anything good about me. So anyhow, we know how that rolls. This is that week. What do I mean by that? It's the end of the year. We're getting ready to start a new year, and I know a lot of people are excited about that and ready to rock and roll and get out of 2025. I've heard so many people say, I just can't take any more of this craziness in 2025. But here we are on the precipice of the next year, 2026, and I'm very, very excited about it. On our show today will be me, of course, but riding along with me will be my good friends, plural, starting this early in the show. My good friend Rick Kasprzak is hanging out. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, Richard. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Excellent. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Listen, guys, if you're getting out and about, if you haven't and you're about to get out the door, it's snowy, and talking about being in Chicago, it's snowy, it's windy, and it's barely 15 degrees. So you've got to, if you hopefully you have the week off. That's great. But if you don't, and you've got to be out there working and going, leave a little bit early. You need the extra minutes. Trust me, because the three of us, Devin, Rick, and I, all needed the extra minutes this morning to get here with some safety. So please, please, please be mindful of that. No matter what form of transportation you're taking. Uncle Richard has spoken. Be safe. Leave early. Take that extra whatever if you're going to be out in the elements. That's important. In the 7 o'clock hour, we'll be joined by another Rick. So you could have some fun with that. I'll wait till he gets here to say it. But Rick Kasprzak is here with us, and in the 7 o'clock hour, Enrico Mowatt will be with us. And then, we just keep moving the ball forward. H.H. Leonards, a.k.a. H, will be with us in the 7:30 hour. And it's been a while, gosh, back to the summer since we had H on the show. But you'll be excited to hear what we'll be talking about then. And if you guys remember, we were discussing 51 steps to freedom, and H is one of the voices that is going to really kind of bring us this message again that we had back in the summer. So looking forward to her visit with us in the 7:30 hour. So there you go, guys. What's been happening, what's going to happen, and what we're trying to get done here. But right now, check this out, progressives.
A name check of publication right now. When was the last time the Washington Post opined on a city's budget? That should be a signal to not just the city of Chicago, but the country. There is a deliberate, concerted effort to stop a progressive working class movement to ensure that we have the balance of powers in this country where working people's interests are prioritized over the few. You have a president that has declared war on poor people in this country while at the same time setting up war in Venezuela. I'll quote it one more time. You can have a democracy or you can have wealth concentrated in the hands of the few, but you cannot have both. This budget is not just about securing and protecting working people. This is about our democracy right now. The threat to the oligarch did not go away because we did not secure the corporate head tax. Don't think that because it's not in this budget that we're not going to fight for it for budgets to come.
Okay, obviously that's Mayor Johnson, and we know that over the weekend, at the end of last week, before we went away, there was a change. I don't know, change is not really the right word, but kind of an approval of parts of this budget from City Council. I'm not going to get into the details of the weeds of it. What I find important there, and kind of a little bit of today's theme, is the desire, as he said, of certain entities to make it their business to take away things or to not provide access to things for people who need them the most. And I think that is, on a global scale, he talked about it throughout the country, and there's no doubt that that's happening. But on a global scale, it's an even bigger conversation. And I dare say that how do I want to put this? The strike by the Trump administration in Africa has a lot less to do with protecting Christians that the administration feels is being slaughtered by ISIS, and more to do with access to resources and taking away resources, not providing for people who are in need, but more specifically with Africa, what took place this past weekend, it's about making sure that the United States and other European countries have a backdoor into some of the tools and resources that are in other countries surrounding and near to Nigeria. That's my observation. And I've got another clip that we'll play a little bit later to talk about that. But as I see this, it's less to do with the Christians being, killed. That's a nice front, but it's about getting, like historically has happened with the continent of Africa, European countries and the United States have made it their thing to grab resources. And it's right in the playbook of what Trump said a couple of years ago, that when we left the middle, when our activities in the Middle East after 9/11 and both Iraq and Afghanistan, that we should have taken the oil, that wasn't a slip. That was an intentional statement from Trump, and I think that we're in a situation similar to that again with this attack in Nigeria, and it's also a way for him to beat the drum about being able to go, if they choose to go to war or have an incursion, have a thing, that's another distraction. Richard, I threw a lot out there just now, but what are your thoughts?
Oftentimes when President Trump comes out with an explanation or reason for why he did something, it's generally something else. He's using that as a diversion tactic. Look what I'm doing over here. Meanwhile, where you're not looking is what's really going on. And so it doesn't surprise me with his latest attacks.
Yeah, and slight correction, guys. Today's December 29th. So there you go. Thank you. My wife literally said, it's the 29th. You said it was the 30th. Don't move as fast. And I've had 3 text messages already saying, what? It's the 29th. Yeah, distractions. Look over here. It's one more, you put it perfectly. It's one more situation where we're being distracted. And but at the cost of people's lives. And for me, that's the part that's unacceptable. And to package it as a Christian thing makes, and Rick Smith just on his show earlier had a guest on talking about, the Christian right. This just makes it one more saleable item to the Christian right, that we're protecting Christians. Same thing happened with bringing the South Afrikaners to the United States. It was 50 South Afrikaners that were being oppressed by native South Africans. Mm-hmm. and let's find a safe place for them. Let's bring them to the United States because those brown people are hurting our white people here in South Africa, and now brown people are hurting people in a predominantly brown country. So, because here's the thing. Here's what you got to know. The minute that the word Christian came out of the mouths of the administration as we're doing this to protect those our brethren, the Christians that are being, slaughtered by the ISIS and the Muslims, that became a brown, not brown issue. Because suddenly, people in the mindset of American Christians was, oh, there must be white Christians in Nigeria that the brown people are harming. That's what they was thinking. That's why they said it that way.
I know.
Why not just going in to say, if that's the case, we're just going in to help and protect people. If it were really about that, irrespective of their religion, they could have been Buddhist. You could have been any faith. Could have, but
right. But once again, I mean, when you look at the way that Trump. I'm losing my train of thought, but just like the reasoning for him being in Venezuela blowing up these boats, it's not. That's not what it's about. Just like so many things that he does. There's, like I said, look what I'm doing over here, but we should actually be paying attention to what's going on the other hand.
Yeah, get your hand out of my pocket.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, guys. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we'll be right back.
This is WCPT telling you how you can shop blue. Let's see if we can shop blue and slay by looking at clothing brands that support the Democratic Party. Nike. Now, yes, Nike's co-founder is very Republican. However, the other 83% of the company supports the Democratic Party. $894,000 in 2024. Dior. Now, Dior does not give to politics, but some of their employees do, and 84% of their donations went to Democrats in 2024. Adidas. Adidas also does not give to politics, but a lot of their employees do, as 97% of their employees' donations went to Democrats. Gucci. Gucci also does not donate to politics, but their employees do, and 84% of their employees' donations went to the Democratic Party. Chanel. Chanel also does not give to politics, but guess what? 99% of their employees donated to Democrats in 2024. I would hate to be that guy in the 1%. This has been WCPT telling you how you can shop blue.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Good morning. You're waking up with Richard Chu.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
We're live and ready to hear from you. Text or call us now at 773-763-9278. Same number. Simple as that.
Let's get the conversation going
on Choose Views.
Aha! It's the 29th, people. That's hilarious.
Monday the 29th.
It's Monday the 29th, not Tuesday the 30th. Welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. I'm riding with my road dog and great friend, Rick Kasprzak, who decided that, I'll hang out with you this morning. Let's chop it up. I want to give some shout outs real quickly. My wife and I had the lovely, I joke around about Christmas, what you did and all that, but my wife and I had such a wonderful opportunity, wonderful time, and grateful to our family. Got to hang out with my brother-in-law and sister, my niece, my nephew, her husband, and my grandniece. We did, I should say. And the host of our host of our Christmas celebration. I want to give a shout out to the Walkers, Jay and Gail, for hosting such a phenomenal holiday get together and making new family traditions. It was really cool to spend time with them. And guess where we were? We were in Charlotte, North Carolina, and my in-law Gail took us for a great ride around the town and showed us all the neighborhoods. It was fun. We had a really, really cool time. Got to hang out in downtown Charlotte and walk around and see. It has really grown. It has just blown up.
I've never been.
You should go. It was really an enjoyable time, and we had a lot of fun and lots of good food. And as the phrase goes, Gail put her foot in it in terms of the meals that were prepared, so that was nice. And we had a really fun time. And so I want to give a shout out to the family and specifically to the Walkers for hosting such a wonderful Christmas celebration. That was really cool. Thank you guys. So Rick, how was your Christmas? What'd you guys do? What was fun? What wasn't fun? Who did you have to push into the, well, what's to say in the snow, but there was no snow.
Well, it was really kind of nice because we went up to visit my family on Christmas Eve with about 40 first cousins and grand cousins and, and all of that and chaos, which has been like that my whole life, always on Christmas Eve. And then we drove back to the city on that evening and spent a really nice, quiet Christmas day at home.
Yeah, and I hope a lot of people were able to, however you spent it with people that you enjoy hanging out with and you had a good time. And, that was kind of the hope that I hopefully left everybody with. Yeah. On Wednesday before we got out of here. But I also got to give a shout out to Whitney, who's one of our new team members that's hanging out in the back studio. Hey, Whitney, what's going on? Big wave. There you go. Yeah, we got people, y'all. We got new folks that are rolling with us. Yeah, man, it was so cool to get a chance to see the family, and it was really cool to go down to Charlotte, and haven't been down there in a number of years. And it was also great that the folks that are in Warren County, North Carolina, who also broadcast my show, got a chance to email a few folks. So that was just a nice little getaway. And the weather was unbelievable. It was great.
It cooperated.
It definitely did. Yeah. I mean, it was in the lower 70s. One day it dropped down in the upper 50s, but still good weather. Sun was out, so you can't beat that.
Weather was great here for traveling.
I know. We snuck back in before the snow hit, overnight till this morning. Guys, I started off talking about the clip from Mayor Johnson about the budget, which the budget conversation is bigger than just the budget itself. It's about what the opposition, and in this case, some of the opposition came from the Democratic Party as it relates to the budget. But like he said, they're going to continue to fight and push forward for the things that are important to all citizens in the city of Chicago, starting with safety, and then working to make sure that the bulk of budgeting items don't get put in the laps of regular, everyday folks in Chicago. And obviously that we keep employment strong, making sure that businesses want to come to Chicago and want to stay in Chicago, because it's a good place to be. It is a good place to be for business. I know that a lot of the opposition, and again, the crazy thing about it is I get texts and emails from people who seem to be people that want to pretend like they're on the left, but I sometimes wonder if they're just trolling us and to get a reaction. So I have to be very careful sometimes about what I respond to, because sometimes I'm not really certain. Because, people can be pretty tricky with how they send you stuff, and
very tricky,
or how they post stuff, and you think that they're quote unquote on our side of the conversation, but they're not really. So I'm really careful with that. But the bigger conversation here is like I was saying about goods and services and resources and all that being redirected with this attack. And to your point, Rick, it is about them saying, look over here while we've got our hand elbow deep in your pocket.
Right.
And that hasn't changed with this administration. That's what happened in the first term, and that's what's happening again now. What are some of the things that go ahead?
Yeah, I think it's happening at a substantially greater pace than it did, the first term. I mean, all you have to do is take a look at, even some of the crazy things like renaming the Kennedy Center. It seemed like always in past administrations, you always follow protocol. If you want to do something like, Trump in renaming the Kennedy Center. I mean, what he did is he got rid of half of the board, reappointed a board who would be his yes men to him, and then he appointed himself as the chair. So there was no opposition to renaming it. And that also leads me to wonder and ask the question, same thing with the demolition of the East Wing and then construction of a ballroom and the renaming of the JFK Center. Those things, developing plans, architectural plans, permits if you need actual permits, and all these things happen so fast. So you can't tell me that this wasn't planned a long time ago. You don't build a $300 million addition, and announce it in 1 week and have all your plans ready. Those had to have been
either that
around for a long time. And same thing with the fabricating of the letters. For the renaming, that you don't do that overnight.
No,
and I'm shocked that it has never been leaked. That's what I'm really shocked at.
Well,
unless I missed something.
No, not at all. I mean, so you guys have to understand. Rick knows what he's talking about when it comes to construction and building stuff because he's built a few things in his life. So the process, and see, this is the common sense part. The process to get these things done as it relates to permits and all, you're absolutely right. It's Washington, it's the government. So, let's be honest, the government can say, we don't need the permits because we are the permit writers. So we can say that we can see that they got past that, if you will. But the other part, just something as what people might say is simple as the letters. Yeah, that wasn't something that they just did overnight. That was something that they said in the back room. All right, so this is what we're going to do because as soon as we announce it, we're going to have the letters ready to go. And that's basically what happened. But again, it is still one of those distractions. If we can keep pumping out things that get people looking over here, then the harmful stuff that we've done, and in this case, the Epstein files, not that but you guys get the point. The harmful things that they have been a part of, and now the cover-up to make that even show that they're even more of a part of it, says, hey, guys, we want you to look over here because we don't want you to look at that, because if you look at that, then you'll see how absolutely awful and stinky we are.
Right.
And it's happening. It's happening in so many areas, and we're going to get to a break in a second, but just the whole thing around Doge was a distraction from Elon Musk and what he was able to do to help get Trump elected. It was his payback because now we don't actually know how much information, because guys, I think everybody's smart enough to know, and we've seen enough movies, spy movies, where a person can roll into where there's computers and just take a thumb drive and plug that bad boy in and suck out. I mean, how many times did we see, the person's walking down the hall?
That's
right. And the spy is
and
like
the music in the background.
Back, right. 1 second left to get the thumb drive out before you can run down the hallway before you get busted. Okay. That comes from someplace.
It sure does.
And so here we are with Doge. How much information did they grab that nobody's talked about?
And what are they doing with it?
Right, that Elon got paid back for his $250 million and say, listen, we'll let you have access to all the goodies. So I'm oversimplifying it, but I'm also trying to point out the fact that the distraction from what this administration is doing, anytime you see some big event or big thing like, what happened in Nigeria, it's a distraction from other things that are going on. And it's we almost oversimplify it because it's just right there in front of our faces.
Right.
Yeah. Let's take a quick break, guys. 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back. Hey, progressives, it's Richard Chu, host of Choose Views weekdays 6 to 8 a.m. Central. We're all anxious for the 2026 midterm election to arrive so we can restore some sanity and much needed oversight to our government. In fact, it's the most important midterm election in American history, and Choose Views will be in the thick of it, bringing you candidate interviews on a regular basis. I'll be talking to Democratic Party hopefuls running for House and Senate at the federal and state level, as well as candidates for governor and other state and local offices.
I am in love with our ability to fight for our rights, to fight for our future, to fight for our freedoms, to fight as our ancestors fought. It's just our moment. This is just our time to stand up and to speak up. We can't give up on this.
If you miss any of the interviews live, you'll be able to find them all on WCPT's candidate interviews page at heartlandsignal.com/candidates. That's Choose Views, weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. on WCPT, Chicago's progressive talk for 20 years.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A wind advisory remains in effect. We'll see periods of snow showers here early today, otherwise cloudy skies, areas of blowing snow likely as well, with a high into the lower 20s. Northwest winds at 20 to 30 miles per hour, gusting as high as 45. Then for tonight, cloudy and windy, a low near 16. By Tuesday, mostly cloudy, high around 28 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 15.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey, guys, welcome back to the show. 773-763-9278. Thanks for being with us from wherever you are on the planet. People always ask me what they can do to support the work that we do here at WCPT and Heartland Signal. As always, the best way is to support our sponsors, to tell them you appreciate them advertising with us. But if you're on Facebook, there's another way. You can now subscribe to the WCPT 820 and Heartland Signal Facebook pages. A subscription is just 99 cents a month. We will have some special offers and for our subscribers coming soon. So visit WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, and Heartland Signal on Facebook, and hit the subscribe button. Make your way over there. Today on Live, Local, and Progressive, Professor William Muck will be in for Joan, and his guests include UIC Professor of History, Kevin Schultz, and Ari Breland, staff writer at The Atlantic. He'll talk about the recent articles he's written on Nick Fuentes. Joan is back Monday, January 5th, Live, Local, and Progressive, weekdays 2 to 5 p.m. Central, WCPT, AM 820, heartlandsignal.com, and tune in. Tonight on Driving It Home, Jason Bizzell of Chicago Community Acupuncture will join Patty Vasquez in studio. Patty will also talk to Dave Bouchard, independent candidate for Congress in Iowa's 2nd District. That's Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7 p.m. Central, WCPT, AM 820, Heartland Signal website, tune in, YouTube, Facebook. And then on tomorrow's show, my guests will include North Carolina Congresswoman Valerie Foushee and Kristen Kroll, who is the executive director of Fair Share America. So you'll want to tune in for that. Thanks, you guys, for hanging out with us this morning. My good friend Rick Kasprzak is with us in studio. So, Rick, the distractions are there, and the goal is to, not talk about the things that people are really, really concerned about. And when we see how much the administration knows that the American public, to use the John Boehner American public phrase, is plugging in. I think that the November 4th elections were that kind of that signpost that said, you know what, there's probably, some reality to this frustration. But there's no solutions that they're bringing. There's no ease of the pain. There's no we're gonna stop all of the tariffs so businesses can recalibrate and businesses can plan. We don't see that on the big federal government whiteboard, which is then indirectly, and this is we talked with a couple guests last week. This is then indirectly impacting local governments. Local leaders have got to perform or act and even plan a little bit differently because the federal government's pushing all this, weight down on local entities.
The thing that I constantly think about with Trump making a decision at, for example, you could say like he made something last night and he today introduced a new tariff. Going back to my previous life in the corporate world, the changes that have to be implemented in the background, that is not an overnight thing. And I mean, with respect to the tariffs, it's like one day it's this percentage at a tariff, the next day it's a different percentage, the following day it's a different country. Oh, now it's not that country. It's for me, my mind just spins at the agencies that actually have to implement those changes that he makes at the spur of a moment. And I don't know how they do it.
And I don't think that they really themselves know how to plan and navigate forward, because ultimately they've got to be part of the implementation of the craziness. Yes. And there's no, and this goes back to, Trump's failure in business. Let's close this casino. Let's close this business. Let's not pay these people. Who cares? We'll write it off. Deny. The Roy Cohn. I was talking to my wife Ann about this last night. It's that Roy Cohn deny. I don't know about this. I don't know about those people. Who are they? And just keep that same. And so many people in the country have bought into that. Yeah. And to our conversation about this. How do the agencies even plan? They can't, because this is his business model. It's to recklessly go after something and then try to cover it up or say we didn't know or we didn't do that, or somebody else was responsible. Because that's what he does.
The next question that comes to my mind, where he's making these snap decisions about how to collect a tariff and stuff. Is that ever going to be audited to make sure that we collected or paid or
and then where does it
or
go?
Whatever? Right.
That's a great question. Is it going to be audited?
And how do we know? How do we know that those changes were implemented? My guess is that they weren't. Same thing. Isn't the government constantly criticized for not doing anything quickly?
Right.
Can't get any quicker than overnight.
Yeah, I know. Here's a thought for you guys. And this was posted by Dr. Boyce, who's a real strong voice in terms of financing capitalism and understanding American economics. And he posted something that I thought really kind of makes some sense. And we're going to share a few other things with you guys. Why capitalism doesn't want strong families. Strong families share resources and build wealth together, creating financial security, right? Financial security removes desperation, and desperation is what gives the system leverage. Capitalism works best when people are one paycheck away from panic. Financially desperate people have no chance but to go back to work. So I said 25 years ago that Republican capitalism and Republican corporatism and Republican sort of conservatism was never really about those three things being spread to the masses, because it makes the playing field level. And when that happens, then people are exposed for their mediocrity. And I've been saying this for 2+ decades, that it's never been about conservatism in the way in which we think. It's about conserving resources from those who would be equal players if there were actual equal footing. So so what Dr. Boyce posted, I think, is right on point, because when you've got families that are thriving and things are happening and things are moving forward, that's actually better for all of the largest masses of people. But the people who are corporate leaders, in many cases political leaders, certainly those on the right, they don't want that, because it means that people are going to use their voice. They are going to be sustained, and they are going to be participants in the solution. Go ahead.
And I totally agree with you, Richard. I wish I had something better to contribute, but
no, that's going to take us to a clip that I want to play that talks about this from the perspective of what's happening in education. And I wanted to merge these two together, capitalism and education, because how do I want to put this? A smarter, more plugged in community is going to fight and push back for things that are important to those communities. So, Devin, let's play the clip that we're talking about.
Ibrahim Traore and the Revolutionary African Government of Burkina Faso.
This is part 5 of 5 of the Heritage Foundation and American Public Education. People keep asking, why do they care so much about how public education is run? And that is the right question, because this was never just about test scores or budgets. For Christian nationalists, education isn't neutral, it's strategic. It's a belief system called the Seven Mountains Mandate. And on the surface, the idea is simple. To shape a nation, you control the 7 areas of influence: government, business, media, arts, family, religion, and education. So our current public education system does not fit into the Seven Mountains Mandate for many reasons. Public schools teach students how to think critically. They expose students to people of different backgrounds. They operate in a pluralistic, secular framework. And all of those are a problem if your goal is cultural dominance. So if you want schools to reflect your religious values, you don't tweak the curriculum. You weaken the system. You defund it. You attack teachers. You undermine trust. You redirect money to private and religious schools. You shrink the pipeline and you remove federal oversight. And eventually, families who can afford to leave do leave. That is replacement. They want to replace public education because it serves all kids, enforces civil rights, separates church and state, and teaches shared civic identity. And those things are what make it powerful. So when you see nonstop attacks on public schools, it's not because they're failing. It's because there are many forces standing in the way. This is part 5 of 5 of the Heritage.
So what's important about that clip is, and linking to what I said a moment ago about education, but also about resources and also about capitalism, they are dotted line connected, because the more that specifically, I'm going to say this, those that are on the right can suppress resources. And one of the resources that we have in this country is education. The more that can be suppressed and pushed down and taken away and redirected and all the fancy words to say that we just aren't going to fund it, the better for those at the top, because they just, I say this often, it just proves the mediocrity. Because why, if you're that good, okay, so let's use a sports analogy. If you're that good, you want to play against the best, because then it proves how good you actually are. And we give a good example. We were just talking about the Bears-49ers game last night. It was a great game. 2 of the top teams in football right now. They're playing some of the best football in the league. They want to play against each other. Why, Devin? Because they want to tell the other team, we're better than you. They, playing an easy game right now in this time of season, this time of the year in football, it might be good for your ego in one way, but it really isn't, because you should beat that team. Playing a team that's not having a good season, that's 3 and, whatever, or 5, what does that do? It's like the bully beating up on the lesser strong, kid in the playground. Playing against the top teams and beating them says you're the top dog, and take whatever sport you want to take. And that's why everybody was gunning for Tiger Woods at his prime, because he was the top dog. Everybody, they lost their minds when they realized how top dog he was. But that's the same thing. Nobody wanted to play against the Bulls during their height of their excellence, but they did want to play against the Bulls because they wanted to say they could beat Jordan and the rest of the team. In general society, you don't want, our governmental leaders, particularly those on the right, and certainly business leaders, they don't want ascending stars and smart people. And the public education system is a threat to that, because it drives the narrative that the smarter, better educated, stronger people we have, the better for our country. But those at the top don't want to see that, because they know that then they're exposed as being mediocre. I can look at a number of folks that went to public school, high schools that can compete with anybody that went to a private school. And you've done it all your career. Those private schoolers, they ain't got nothing on us public schoolers, other than they went to private school and the legacy piece that comes with that. Seriously. And there's a lot of state school graduates from college that can run with any of the Ivy Leagues and all the rest. We see it all the time. We see it all the time. So that's kind of my point of this and my thinking about this. That it is connected, and we have to look at. I believe we have to look at it as it's a connected conversation. If you tear away at education, like she says, and then you tear away at a foundational piece that allows people to get smarter and stronger and better. You keep tearing away at that, then they have no way where to go. But those that can afford to leave the system, then they do get thrown into the private school system because they can afford to do it. But it then leaves the rest of the communities for educational purposes out of the mix.
Right. Well, what's one of the famous lines that Trump said during his campaign? He said, "I love the uneducated."
Yeah. And so he does.
They do. The GOP does.
It's not just him. The entire GOP does.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break, guys. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. In the midst of World War II, the 200 and 515th Coast Artillery Companies from New Mexico stood resolute against overwhelming odds. Composed largely of Hispanic soldiers, these brave men were stationed in the Philippines, where they faced the brutal onslaught of Japanese forces. Despite their lack of supplies, American and Filipino forces managed to fight the Japanese for 3 months. However, this was not a victory for the American and Filipino forces. As the American Army surrendered in Bataan, the U.S. and Filipino prisoners of war were forced into the infamous Bataan Death March. A grueling 65-mile forced trek under the scorching sun, marked by extreme deprivation and harsh treatment. Sadly, 829 men were never able to return home. New Mexico's veterans of the Bataan Death March are honored each spring with the annual White Sands Bataan Death March Marathon. People from all around the world join together in the desert at the White Sands to participate in the anniversary of one of the most tragic casualties of World War II. This has been a WCPT Veteran Minute.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being with us this morning. 773-763-9278. Rolling with my road dog, Rick Kasprzak. So Rick,
yes.
Yes. We've got another clip we'll play when in a moment. But okay. So we're talking a little bit about the distractions earlier. Mm-hmm. We're talking about the way in which those in power want to suppress access to others that are ascending to power and ascending in their lives and in their careers. That's always been a playbook by certainly our country, to make sure that the people who that weren't straight white male, weren't able to have access to and fill in the blanks. Whether it be when we look at school, education and schooling in the 50s, this education thing is nothing new.
No.
This has been going on for people that are black, not people of color, the people that have been defined as black Americans. Education, the distraction from education has always been on the table. And it's always been a thing that access to it could get you killed. I mean, if you were black at a certain point, certain time in this country, a lot of people don't know this, but if you were black and knew how to read, it could get you killed.
I believe it.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
It was part of many southern states' laws that Negroes weren't allowed to read. Mm-hmm. And so we used to tell this really bad joke that if you ever wondered why, there were so many horse and buggies that were destroyed, way back in the day. And this is going to be a really bad joke, but I'm going to tell it anyhow. Why there were so many horse and buggies that were always, destroyed and in repair. It's because black folks that were driving the horse and buggies for, their white enslavers could never show that they could read the stop sign. Because if they could read the stop sign, then they could get them killed. So they'd rather wreck the buggy than it'd be outed that they could read the stop sign. Now, my father told that joke to me 45 years ago with a little bit more vim and vigor and some more curse words and all the rest. But listen, guys, education has always been a tool to block the furthering of people in our society, in this country specifically. And I dare say that what's happening now isn't just about education in and of itself. It's also about the furthering of knowledge and access. And that's why we're seeing so much pull from resources. So one of the things you asked about things that we're going to chat a little bit about, and we'll get into that in a second. But DEI, and this is one of those moments, guys. Resources being incorrectly used, and then the conversation around DEI. So check this out. Okay, resources. Did you guys see that the FBI is now they've made a decision, a la Kash Patel.
I was going to say, is it Cash?
It's Cash. Can you see me, Cash? Can you see me? Can you see me? Are you sure? They've made it. What about America First? But just check this out, guys. They made this decision that they're going to break with, again, tradition that you talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. And swapping the iconic American-made SUVs, the black SUVs, Suburbans, and all the rest, and start using armored BMWs. What? Now, I got into a little bit of a back and forth with some people about. But they're saying, Richard, they're going to be the ones that are, BMWs now are made in Spartanburg, South Carolina. I'm like, not all of them.
No.
And I said,
and I don't think their big SUVs are.
Right. And I said, and more importantly, to that end, even if they are, and every one of the ones that the FBI and or Secret Service and or whatever government agency is going to use is made in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Let's just say that they are. Talk about America First. There is still money going out of this country to Germany to help their country. But I thought it was America First. The one thing I can say that those SUVs that are made in Detroit or wherever they're made that are U.S., that are General Motors products, or if they happen to be Ford, Expeditions, they're made here, and the majority of that money stays on this continent. Right. So this America First garbage to the maggots out there, you got once again bamboozled. Right. But seriously, I mean, that's a literal thing. I thought it was about America First, built here, money stays here, jobs. No, this is clearly an example that it's not. Here's another one. This is the DEI one I wanted to throw out, and then we're going to take a little bit of an early break, if that's okay, Deb, and then we come back. We got a surprise for everybody. Trump promoted a former attorney and part-time salon owner to oversee visas for people coming to the United States. Did y'all hear about this?
No.
Amora Mandor, whose parents are Iranian immigrants, was sworn as the State Department's new assistant secretary for the Bureau of Consultant Affairs. In other words, she's a person that's in charge of determining who oversees who gets visas coming into the United States. Her most recent work has been as a part-time salon owner, having no real experience in this space.
No, she's perfect for it then.
Yeah, exactly. Once again, fits the narrative perfectly.
It certainly does.
Fits the narrative perfectly. One last clip before we go to this break. Devin, let's hit them with the resources clip from Africa.
Ibrahim Traoré and the revolutionary African government of Burkina Faso have reportedly mined $18 billion of gold since they took control of their own mines, which is substantial because when the mines were owned by France, Burkina Faso was paid only $1 billion a year by foreign companies. But now they're making $18 billion a year and reinvesting it in things like infrastructure, education, and security. Which is why Western governments are now trying to destroy Traoré's revolution, as they do anytime a country moves towards socialism and control of their own resources. In most African countries, Western companies extract all of the resources and then pay a bribe to the government and the local elite. You pay $1 billion a year to the rich people in Burkina Faso so they can live in luxury while stealing everybody else's resources. But Traoré has said no, the resources of Burkina Faso belong to the people of Burkina Faso, not French companies. And we're going to reinvest those resources in development that betters the day-to-day lives of our working people. Traoré is just so based. Solidarity with the revolution in Burkina Faso.
This young man is fascinating. There's been like 30 plus assassination attempts, even from his friends. He kicked the French out of his country, and the man is not even 40 yet. If we're gonna push one brother, I say we push this one. Haiti, Jamaica, even throw a little Canada in there. It can happen if you have the right leaders.
So, what's that all about? Once again, resources, distraction. These attacks are about being able to have some footprint with our military might, if you will, to say, you know what, we don't like the fact that you all are pushing harder for your independence from Europe and pushing harder for your independence from the United States of America. And the resources that are right there, the oil, the uranium, yeah, we need to get some of that. And that's what this is all about, guys. They don't like that Traoré is said, no, we're gonna mine our own stuff. We're gonna keep it right here in this country, in this part of the continent of Africa. Real quick before we hit that break, thoughts on that, guys? No, we're gonna save it till afterward.
You know, it's interesting because, you know, I think the one thing that people aren't really realizing is how a lot of things are connected. And from a global standpoint, and resources are one of those connections that kind of really keep a lot of us tethered, you know, societally but also governmentally and just as a people. And the one thing that you're really seeing is how those resources are being attacked domestically, but then also being attacked internationally and globally. I mean, this whole notion with Venezuela and attacking them, and we're going to try to stop. Fentanyl is not produced in Venezuela.
No.
and it takes a children's crayon book for people to really find that information. But whether they do or not is kind of up to them. But it's like you said earlier before I arrived, let's create noise and misdirection over here so that we can do things in the shadows over there. Yeah. And it's like this administration is so petulant where, oh, you don't want to share your ball with us, or we're not going to get your fruit cut from the lunchroom. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to bully.
Yeah.
Oh.
So who is that voice, Gal? We're going to take a quick break. That's our man, Enrico Mowatt. Just slid into the studio literally because of the snow here in Chicago. 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll all be right back.
WCPT replay.
This is exactly where we are. This is how we got here because Joe Biden would not play that game. And, you know, Obama did not play that game. We certainly didn't give them the clown show that Trump does. This is why I keep trying to tell people, like, it's not the show. Mm-hmm. Don't take the rage bait. Don't be part of the show. This is how he got elected again. These people want him in there because he makes them money. He gives them fame. Everybody's paying attention right now. They didn't pay attention when Biden was in office, and he was getting so much done. But they didn't pay attention because it wasn't a clown show. there wasn't the opportunity for them to, cover him and put on a little show of standing up to him for a second and then become famous and write a book.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Through trusted relationships and national reach, CVS Health is uniquely positioned to simplify care. Learn more at cvshealth.com/Investor Day.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. President Trump told reporters he felt positive about yesterday's discussions with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
This gentleman has worked very hard, and he's very brave, and his people are very brave. I mean, what they've gone through, no nation, very rarely has a nation ever had it.
The president hosted Zelensky at Mar-a-Lago. Trump also told reporters,
"Got to make a deal. Got to get it done. Too many people dying, and I think both presidents want to make a deal."
Today, Trump meets with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to discuss the next phase of the Gaza ceasefire. The AP's Lisa Dwyer reports on U.S. funding for the United Nations.
The United States has announced a $2 billion pledge for UN humanitarian aid as President Donald Trump continues to slash U.S. foreign assistance funding. His administration is warning United Nations agencies to adapt, shrink, or die in a time of new financial realities. The money is a tiny fraction of what the U.S. has contributed in the past, but reflects what the administration believes is a generous amount that will maintain the United States' status as the world's largest humanitarian donor. The pledge creates an umbrella fund from which money will be doled out to individual agencies and priorities. The U.S. and other Western donors have cut billions in funding over the last year, prompting massive cuts in aid spending and jobs. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Officials say a train accident in southern Mexico killed at least 13 people and injured dozens. The interoceanic train linking the states of Oaxaca and Veracruz went off the rails yesterday as it passed a curve near the town of Nisanda. More on this story at apnews.com. This is AP News. AP correspondent Julie Walker reports on the installation of new 2026 Waterford crystals on the Times Square New Year's Eve ball.
In Times Square in New York City, they're getting ready for the giant New Year's Eve party by dressing up the giant New Year's Eve ball. The company's Bentley Hardwick has more.
This is the New Year's Eve Times Square ball, adorned with 5,280 Waterford crystal discs. Each one of the discs, there are 3 different designs, represent 3 different ideas. 1, life, liberty, and happiness.
The crystal ball measures 12.5 feet in diameter and weighs a whopping 12,350 pounds. After it drops at midnight, it will rise again, sparkling in red, white, and blue, to kick off the nation's upcoming 250th birthday. Julie Walker, New York.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A wind advisory remains in effect. We'll see periods of snow showers here early today, otherwise cloudy skies, areas of blowing snow likely as well, with a high into the lower 20s. Northwest winds at 20 to 30 miles per hour, gusting as high as 45. Then for tonight, cloudy and windy, a low near 16. By Tuesday, mostly cloudy, high around 28 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 15.
FIFA World Cup 2026 is coming soon, but your opportunity to be there starts now through an exclusive offer with an eligible Bank of America Visa credit card. For a limited time, become a new customized Cash Rewards or unlimited Cash Rewards Visa credit card holder, and you will be eligible for a chance to purchase FIFA World Cup 2026 tickets. Learn more at BofA.com/cardFWC26. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, proud to be the official bank of FIFA World Cup 2026. Bank of America N.A. in partnership with Visa. Terms apply. Rights reserved.
Taxes was feeling so stuck. Sitting in traffic, squeezing into a parking spot, all to squeeze in getting tax help during your lunch break. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert who does your taxes for you, while you go about your day getting real-time notifications about their progress and the most money back guaranteed. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Only available with TurboTax experts. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. 773-763-9278. Yes, I am Richard Chew. Sounds like I'm Iron Man. Yes, I am Iron Man. I'm hanging with two of my great friends, Rick Kasprzak and Enrico Mowatt, and we have made the determination and we have the understanding that we're going to do this a little bit more often. So you guys got to prepare yourself. This next half hour will be kind of raucous and crazy. And then in the 7:30 hour, we'll have H. Leonard's on with us from 51 Steps, which I'm really looking forward to chatting with H. So guys, let's lean into this. 2025 is coming to a end, and we're going to be into 2026 by the end of the week. You know, when we were talking about getting together and having you guys being back on the show, one of the things that we all kind of agreed on is let's just do a quick our own recap of 2025. What were some of the highs and the lows, professionally, personally, and certainly things that we observed as it relates to significant events that took place not only in the United States but throughout the country. Rick, you want to start?
There's so many things. There's so many things that we could talk about that took place this year. A lot of the things that come to mind for me are a lot of the visuals that occurred. And when you ask that question, the first visual that comes into mind for me is when the DOGE department was established and announced, and you had Elon Musk coming out like a crazy man holding a chainsaw and wheeling it around in the air. It's
Didn't you want him to
crazy.
Drop it vertically
it's so
and to flip?
I just want to see one toe severed. Just one toe, the pinky toe.
What are you talking about, pinky toe Della Reese from Harlem Nights? No.
Oh, you picked up on that.
Hey,
pinky toe.
Pinky toe.
My God.
No, you're right though, Rick. It's a haunting one.
And then when I think of Musk being up on the stage holding the chainsaw, my mind also then goes to when Volodymyr Zelensky was in the Oval Office, sure. Right? And was it Vance who said to him, "Don't you own a suit?"
No, it was Marjorie Taylor Greene's
her boyfriend, now fiance,
that said it.
You're right.
But talk about a visual or an optic or a thing that was just flat out disgusting was the way in which they treated that particular leader of another country. Mm-hmm. The way, just how they dogged him, and it just goes to show how much of a punk J.D. Vance is. Oh, Daddy's here, so I'm going to truck trash now. I got all my people around me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Come, meet me out back.
From a guy who was probably never picked for a game of pickup. Basketball or pickleball or whatever.
Pick up dominoes.
Pickleball.
He didn't get. J.D. Vance didn't get picked to play pickup dominoes.
Right.
I mean, let's be honest, because he is that guy. He's that guy growing up that was always talking junk, but he would do it when he was around his boys, if he had any. But but one-on-one, he wasn't that guy that would be someone that could really stand on his own, and that was an example of it. And of course, he carries the weight of the vice presidency, but that was optically disgusting.
It was. And the irony is then you have Elon Musk in black jeans and a T-shirt,
right, standing in the Oval Office,
and that's okay.
Next to the
okay.
president's desk.
So with his child,
Picking boogers.
Picking boogers and whispering very, very cogent words like, you're a bum, president.
Yeah.
Just saying some really, like, wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm going to piggyback on Rick's sentiment when it comes to the visuals, and I'm going to start with art imitating life.
Okay.
Some really great films that are like, whoa, is this, how did this, first, the most recent one, One Battle After Another, Paul Thomas Anderson, Leonardo DiCaprio, not knowing exactly what that film was about in the backdrop. If you haven't seen it, everything that has happened with, border control and ICE going to major cities, that was some of the most cogent, painful thing to see on film, because it was happening in real time in Chicago, in Portland, in L.A., in other places, in New York. And this film was made over a year ago.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, how did they know, or did the government take the art and make it actually lifelike in certain circumstances? The second one is Sinners, and if you haven't seen that movie, there's an incredible montage of talking about music as a cultural connector, but also when you talk about what's being done in terms of cultural erasure, and what this government is doing to really whitewash, history, which is Black history, African American history, Native American history, Asian American history, LGBTQ history, and trying to,
which ironically intersects all those other communities.
Absolutely, without question. So it's amazing that they're just going they're just so bereft of kind of keeping things foundational in terms of what has happened, who invented what, atrocities committed to certain groups, and the ones that are just aforementioned. And it's like, wow. And that, people are kind of, getting the wool, they're removing the wool that's been pulled over their eyes and saying, hey, we're not having that.
Yeah.
We're not having this. This is absolutely ridiculous. And hey, that's not accurate. That's not right. And so you're seeing a lot of art imitating life, and it's really, really scary.
Yeah, I would agree. There's a show, I can't tell if it's on Netflix or Hulu, but I'm just going to say it's a streaming show, The Diplomat, which if you Netflix, okay. And there's some things that happen in there that not to spoil it for those who haven't seen it yet, certainly this latest season, where you go, damn.
Yeah.
And guys, if you guys have seen it, you know what I'm talking about with regard to what the new president did and did not know.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, so I'll be quiet on that. But to Rick's point and yours furthered, this has been an interesting year when it comes to what the arts have done. And speaking of that, we're talking about arts and how we've been so misdirected or how, again, that resource has been tampered with, if not destroyed. We got this fool renaming the Kennedy Center, the Trump Kennedy Center, pulling funding for education and all the rest. I think one of my highlights this year, we'll say a highlight, but certainly a thing that is been in our faces for the entire year, is how our medical, our healthcare, our let's just leave those two words, medical and healthcare systems, have been so abused this last 11 months since this inauguration, and how many people's lives, we don't even know yet how many people's lives have been negatively impacted because of the recklessness with regard to probably one of our most important, I'd say one or two, first or second resources, and that is care, medical care, and all the rest, healthcare. That's been, for me, the one that I've been paying attention to a lot because of the unknown numbers of people that have been negatively impacted. And I remember earlier in the year when the conversation around Medicare and Medicaid was really peaking, and we were talking about how rural hospitals were going to be impacted by this, seemingly the most. And then within a matter of a couple of weeks, right here in Chicago, one of our very own in the city of Chicago hospitals, Weiss Memorial Hospital on the north side, was looking to shutter its doors.
Yeah.
And that's not rural, guys. That's right off. For those who don't know, I'll share it with you. This is north of downtown Chicago off of Lakeshore Drive.
Yep.
It's a very, very popular neighborhood hospital. And I said then, what's harmful and crazy about that, not just Weiss, but any hospital, is what's around. So it's the hospital, the people that work there, the not just the doctors and nurses, but the support staff and admin staff. But it's then the businesses around the communities, which have, much of their success as a business, and you got to believe a 2, 4, 6, 8 block radius of a hospital is impacted because they go and spend money at those businesses.
Without question.
On
Absolutely.
their way into work, on their way home from work,
lunch break,
all the rest.
Yeah.
And then the strain that it puts on the neighborhood, wherever it is. So that's been a big one for me is, how many people do we not know were impacted by them messing around with our healthcare system?
And this is the one thing that I think is also really important to recognize is that regardless of what side of the political fence you're on, medical coverage, healthcare, it knows it's bipartisan. It knows, like, if you're sick, you're sick. If you need medication, you need medication. If you need treatment, you need treatment. If you're in a rural area, if you're in a city area, if you're black, if you're white, it doesn't matter. And so I think one of the things that I hope happens is there are different things that are going to galvanize people. And one of those things is loss of healthcare or need for healthcare and realization that this administration or this congressman or this congresswoman or this senator does not care and that they need to be voted out. And you need to find people that are going to align with not just your interests, but your needs. And if your interests are contrary to your needs, like my dad would say, you's a fool.
Yeah, a big fool. You're a big fool. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and hanging with my two great friends, Rick Kasprzak and Enrico Mowatt, two guys that this just goes to show the power of people that care about each other, people that really understand the importance of community and family. Three guys that come from different backgrounds, essentially. Rico and mine are a little bit more similar than that of ours with Rick. But at the end of the day, we understand the importance of connecting and taking care of each other and being there for each other, irrespective of the things that people want to say would separate us or make us different. No, we are three representations or three people that represent that we understand that together, it's not just words. We literally understand this to the core, that fighting together for each other is what we have to do. It is our calling. And if we don't do it, then, at any given day, any one of the three of us is at risk of not being able to live this quote unquote, American dream.
Right. And just really quick, Richard, you've taught me an enormous amount of your life's experiences. And I like to think that I've done the same for you. And because of that, and as I get to know you a lot better, Rico, and because of that, we are better people.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it. I mean,
it's amazing what an open mind can do.
Oh, yeah.
If you have an open mind to differences that are all around us.
Even when you're on the same plate, the difference is on that plate. Sometimes you go, oh, I didn't realize that. I guess I need to delve a little bit further into that conversation. Rico and I talk about this a lot. It's like the number of people that live like this.
Yeah.
And this goes back a little bit to what I was saying earlier about the capitalism. They want to make sure that people are not plugged into things that are important, because if we can keep people focused on getting up, going to work, doing that, going home, getting up, going to work, doing what you do, going home, then all these things that are going on out here in the periphery aren't going to be something that they can pay attention to, but they need to, but we can't let them do that. And I think that that's one of the, it's a huge opportunity that I don't hear the Democratic Party talking enough about, is that for decades, the right, the uber wealthy, and frankly, businesses have wanted people to be focused right in here. Let us handle all the rest. When what's I see happening over a few years now is more people are saying, no.
Yeah.
I'm taking the blinders off. So it kind of ties back to what you said.
Absolutely.
People are like, wait a minute. I may not know the answer to go forward, but I'm taking the blinders off so I can at least see that there's more out here.
Yep.
Yeah. And perfect example. We talked about the Chainsaw Man and him walking on stage like a buffoon. But then people taking a step back like, wait a minute. How many government contracts does he have? Yeah. What else is he doing? Mm-hmm. And why does he have access to it?
And he ain't no smarter than me.
And and sorry, this guy's got he makes electric cars. But wait, what? I'm confused. Mm-hmm. And that confusion and that questioning is something that has to happen consistently. And the fact that government's always been for sale. With lobbyists and so forth and. But at least there was kind of like a gentleman's duel agreement where 10 paces, turn around and shoot, where they would kind of keep it a little bit under the radar. But now all bets are off because everything is so blatantly intertwined. If you look at, the White House and anything that's tangential to this current administration and this current president, from his family to his kids to his son-in-law, to Jared Kushner. What I heard, what was it? One of the deals, not the Netflix and Warner Discovery deal, but the Paramount deal. Apparently, Kushner's venture capital firm is helping in terms, which is direct ties to the government. And why did
state-run media?
Right, state-run media, and then also Paramount and its connections to the White House and this current president, who it just goes on and on and on, and it's like. No, you have to question certain things because there are people that are reaping incredible profit from it. While to your point, everyone's in the echo chamber. The American people of got to get to work, got to be able to pay this light bill, got to be able to pay my mortgage, rent, and so forth, and not realizing, wait a minute, maybe I should buy some Paramount stock. Maybe I should do just stuff like that.
No, right? Maybe, and that to that end, and I have to be careful on how I say this because of my other life. Rather than buying, XYZ in terms of all this stuff, that's going to reduce in value. Maybe I should buy this over here, which is but people are being directed toward, and we're just coming off of Christmas and the holiday season where we dump a bunch of money into this economy. We spend, credit card, all the stuff that we all know, all the things that we know, and people's net worth goes down because they aren't making investments in things that are going to appreciate, whatever that might be. But the more we can get people distracted and wound up and angry at each other and fighting against each other, meanwhile, Trump and his family's net worth. I just was reading this in Forbes. I wanted to get some details, and of course, I left the magazine on my desk, the article, in terms of how it's multiplied since he's been in office. But the MAGA crowd is okay with that. Meanwhile, theirs is going down in many cases, unless they have the 401k and they're doing the work there and all the rest. But by and large, to Rick's point earlier, we like the uneducated because we can bamboozle and fool them all day long, and that's what's happening. But I'm glad that we are also talking about the people who are fighting back, who are stepping up, who are paying attention, and are saying, and again, because think about the imbalance, or not the imbalance, but the pushback. The administration and all of its tentacles in terms of business people, the uber wealthy, multi-whatever business people, they want the distraction because the distraction doesn't allow people to see what they're doing in terms of their relationship with the federal government, and in many cases, some of the state officials. A good example in terms of how states are being, I guess you could say, potentially punked. Did you see that Trump said that if Indiana, Mike Braun, the governor, and Beckwith, the lieutenant governor, if they don't mandate the gerrymandering that the state legislature said no to, that he's going to pull resources and not fund send federal dollars, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is in Indiana, y'all. This is not in Illinois or in California or in a blue state. It's in a red state.
Yeah.
So this is where I say, those of you on the right that follow our show, that follow our station, that follow any progressive conversation, y'all need to listen to us. We've been trying. We've not been trying. We've been telling you. They're going to come for your stuff, too.
Oh, it's going to happen.
So stay plugged in, to Rico's point. Do not get unplugged in. You may have to take a break every now and again, but now he's going to come after Indiana, a red state. And guess who's going to be most impacted by those federal dollars not going to the state? It's going to be the people who are the ones that voted for him, because they. And you sit back and you go, but you guys are the smart. Say you're the smartest, bestest, fastest, and you're not. You're mediocre.
Well, and literally the pendulum swings based on his mood and if he has a hemorrhoid or a hangnail. either or. Sorry, Dan.
Or a bone spur.
Or a bone spur. That part. But it's one of those things where his temperament cannot be trusted, and his temperament is what's really ruining and making things difficult for the American people, because there is absolutely unequivocally no consequence, no interest, no empathy, no sympathy, no interest in how his decision of trying to bend people to his will is going to affect folks in the state of Indiana when he decides, I'm going to cut resources just because, you have to gerrymander the way I say so to help us out. It's like, no, that's not what we're doing in this state. Okay,
and it was led by Republicans, by the way.
Right.
The state vote, the legislative vote came from Republicans in the state of Indiana.
Yeah,
they hold the majority.
Right.
There were no people on the left. There were no Democrats saying, "Oh, we're gonna." They don't have the ability. They just don't have the votes to do it.
They got. I think there's 6 Republicans that flipped over to side with the Democrats to vote.
There was
to push back on the redistricting, and so now but see, we didn't try. We did tell you. We're coming up on a break in a little bit, but you talked earlier, Rico, about in terms of what's got to happen in terms of people being pushed out of office, being voted out. And we may not have the time to really cover this to the extent that I want to, but there are some big races that are coming up in terms of the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House. There's the conversation, and I'll probably talk a little bit more about this tomorrow because we got to take a break and get ready for H, who's coming on in a little bit. But you're right about that. The voting has to happen. We've got to get people, because I was asked this question this weekend, Richard, what do we do? We've got to get the 89 million people who did not vote in the last federal election activated, because what happened in November with the midterm vote and those elections and these special elections says that when people turn out, we win.
Yeah.
Right. So let's take a quick break, guys. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Jose and Laura came to Brookfield Tax Planning worried about their taxes. After their free, no-obligation tax reduction review, they discovered they'd been overpaying $8,100 every year for 28 years. That's $227,000 of hard-earned money gone forever. Why? Jose and Laura's financial advisor did nothing to reduce their taxes, and their accountant records history after the year ends, when it's too late to use legal, proactive tax reduction strategies for business owners and retirees. 94% of Brookfield's clients discover they've wasted thousands for years due to passive advisors. Brookfield Tax Planning reviews your returns free and can show you how much you're overpaying, how to plan ahead now to stop it. You risk nothing. But this may be the most profitable hour you'll invest all year. Call Brookfield Tax Planning at 708-485-3439 or visit BrookfieldTaxPlanning.com. That's BrookfieldTaxPlanning.com.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. In the heart of World War II, while the skies rumbled with the roar of combat, a groundbreaking squad of pilots emerged from the segregated South, the Tuskegee Airmen. An elite group of African-American pilots defied the odds with their courage and skills. Trained at the Tuskegee Army Airfield in Alabama, they became the first black aviators in the U.S. military. Despite facing racism and skepticism, they soared through the skies, unmatched precision, escorting bombers and earning a distinguished reputation for their bravery. Their red-tailed P-51 Mustangs became a symbol of excellence and resilience, and in 2007, the Tuskegee Airmen were finally honored as they were awarded the Congressional Gold Medal. These aviators didn't just fight for victory in the air, they battled for equality on the ground, forever altering the landscape of the American military and inspiring generations to come. This has been a WCPT Veteran Minute.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A wind advisory remains in effect. We'll see periods of snow showers here early today, otherwise cloudy skies, areas of blowing snow likely as well, with a high into the lower 20s. Northwest winds at 20 to 30 miles per hour, gusting as high as 45. Then for tonight, cloudy and windy, a low near 16. By Tuesday, mostly cloudy, high around 28 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 16.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
You're listening to Chew's Views with Richard Chew.
Guys, welcome back to the show. Great to be with you, hanging with my guys, Rick and Enrico. And appreciate you guys sending in your text messages and your commentary. Let me read one to you guys real quickly. African Americans in general, but specifically African American young people, need to understand that there's so much energy used to erase African American history, legacy, culture, contributions, existence. It is because, as a people, we are a threat to the white privilege on so many levels. Essentially, as an analogy, we are the weeds of society, and if there's even a small crack in the world, as a weed, we thrive, and then they want to use Roundup. Yeah. Thank you, Cassandra. The point of that is, and I think it certainly starts with the African-American community, but it spreads to other communities. If we can, once again, if there's so much energy being used to deflate communities that are not white, straight men in America. And that energy that's used says something. If they weren't trying to come out, if our vote as black folks in America didn't mean something, they wouldn't be working so doggone hard to come after it. If our vote didn't mean something in the LGBTQ community, they wouldn't be working so hard to try to come after it. And the list goes on and on. And nobody get upset that I didn't include the demographic that you may be a part of. But at the end of the day, Dana Goldberg, my good friend Dana Goldberg, says this often. If you're planting your flag with just one group, then you're fighting the wrong battle. We as progressives, that's the challenge in some ways, but it's a good challenge that we have. We have to fight more than one battle. And that then leans back into the conversation around a big tent. We have to be willing to do that, I believe, because as I said before, you never know who is at the lowest end of our society that needs the most amount of help. So that, but again, I see the world that way, and I'm glad that I do see the world that way. Rico, before we went to break, when you were talking about things that need to happen, it gets into the conversation about voting people out.
Yep.
And I know Rick has some thoughts about this as well, but there's some races that are coming up that I want to highlight real quickly on a federal level.
I was going to say something. Did you say that there's some racists?
Racists. There's some racists out there. See, that's what happens when your boys are rolling with you. They just wait. You're driving. You're driving down the road.
We're ready to pounce, man.
We got a cooler of food in the back seat. Just hanging out, having a good old time. And then I hit a bump and somebody's taking a sip out of hot coffee from the thermos. I'm like, come on, Rich. Miss the bumps, man. What's wrong with you? Did you need to go back to driver's ed or something? turned the curve too quickly. Man, you made me spill my Jell-O.
I couldn't help myself. I just couldn't help myself. And this is without coffee, people. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. All right, the core four. It's been clear since the start of the election cycle that the fight for the Senate would center on four crucial states: Maine, North Carolina, Michigan, and Georgia. In Maine, Susan Collins is the only Republican senator representing the state that Vice President Harris won in 2024. So what's happening in Maine? Janet Mills, the governor, is running. And, she's presented herself as a sort of a moderate to the left. And then a military veteran, Graham Planter, are really going to be the voices that you'll hear in the Maine Democratic primary. And then, you okay? Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
In North Carolina, former Democratic Governor Roy Cooper is running, while Republicans have tapped Republican National Committee Chairperson Michael Whatley. That's another big race. So North Carolina. Georgia, John Ossoff, the only Senate Democrat running for re-election in a state where Trump won, is the target of the Republicans. Governor Brian Kemp's decision to pass on a Senate run sparked a three-way GOP primary between Representatives Buddy Carter, Mike Collins, and former University of Tennessee football coach Derek Dooley. So Ossoff is in Georgia. So those are the four that we really want to pay attention to. Michigan, of course, has got Mallory McMorrow that's running there, and she's definitely a strong voice. But the thing that I want to put out to everybody is, and I don't want to leave out any other states. Ohio, New Hampshire have got some big races going on. Texas, Iowa, Alaska. These are the top 10, rounding out the top 10, and Minnesota. And a voice a name that you probably have heard before if you watch any sports, Michelle Tafoya, was a long time. Yeah, she
really.
Yeah, I know.
What?
She's long time NFL sideline reporter turned conservative witch-like commentator is running. Is considering a run for Senate as well. She's also considering a run for governor. She's just trying to run for something to be. Her brand has spoiled.
And voters should run away from
her, y'all. And Minnesota, please don't even give her an opportunity to funk up the place, because
and she was a good sideline reporter.
She was good at that work, but then she suddenly there was some stuff that went on with relationship issues and some other things that came about. I don't even want to get into it because I feel like I got to take a shower after talking about her and some of the stuff that she said and done.
I'm going down the rabbit hole later.
All right, fine. The point I want to make, and Rick, you can pick up on this, is no matter where in the country, whether there's two pillars I want to talk about: that the Senate and the House. No matter where you are in the country as a progressive liberal Democrat, if you're in a red state, a blue state, or a purple state, you need to do this work, which I'm about to give you as a homework assignment. You have to do the research to see who's running for those national seats in other states. Okay? Particularly when it comes to the Senate. And then when it comes to the House, if in fact it's true that there's some 20 to 22 Republicans that are not going to run again, we as progressive liberal Democrats have to do the work to know, and I'm going to keep reporting on this, where those races are. And if you're in a state where your House members are fairly secure and your Senate seats are fairly secure, the work that we need to do is to find out who's running in other states and what can you do to help those races be run, won, and held by Democratic candidates. And I'm not going to even give anybody any room to say, yeah, but is the candidate that the Democrats are putting up a good candidate? Anything is better than what the Republicans are putting out. So that's good enough for me at this point.
Right.
As a sports person, Rico, sometimes you don't have your A players on the field, but those B players get the job done.
They play special teams.
They play special teams, and they hold the line while the quote unquote starters get healthy.
Absolutely.
So, but Rick, I wanted to throw this to you regarding my thing about helping candidates in states that you are not actually in, because you spend time in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So
very, very similar to the way that, I feel about getting out the vote. Richard, you and I have had these conversations before where I say, if you just bring it down to your level, if you allow yourself to get inundated at looking at the big picture, okay, it becomes so overwhelming that you kind of freeze. So what you and I have talked about before is, pick 3 people or 4 people that have either never voted before or are first-time voters, and follow them through.
Yeah.
Are you registered? Do you need a ride to the polling booth? Are you going to vote mail, by mail, and follow through? That's all we can do as an individual, okay? Same thought comes to mind we have all these races around the country. If you have, for example, $100 that you're going to donate to your candidate, why not consider taking that $100 and break it into $10 increments and give $10 to this one, $10 to this one, $10 to this? It makes a difference.
Yeah, it does.
A little bit of money makes a difference to a campaign. So that's what I would say.
And that's a great point, because Rodney, I'm drawing a blank on his name now. He's running again for state legislator in North Carolina. He won by 34 votes in his last election for the state seat. I'm drawing a blank on his name. I had him on the show 10 days ago. He won by 34 votes. Right. So every vote counts, and every dollar counts. Yeah. To your point, Rick, or has meaning, and every vote certainly matters. And so that's a great suggestion in terms of spread that money out a little bit. Pick 5, whatever it is, and send that 100 to 4 or 5 people to help in their particular. Rodney Pierce, thank you, Devin. He won by 34 votes in North Carolina.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. Yep. That's crazy. And to that same point that Rick made, again, and I joked about not drinking coffee earlier, just avoid the latte for a day.
Yeah.
Avoid just one.
Come on now.
One latte, just one latte a week is $30.
Mm-hmm.
If you decide for a month, okay, you know what? I'm going to throw it and spread it around to these different, rates so that they can, and that
$15 a month to 2 different candidates this month. Yeah. Next month in February, $15 for 2 different other candidates.
And that $15 as it accumulates goes for everything from pens to Wi-Fi to interns to advertising to social media to and when I had the pleasure of being on your show with Anderson Clayton, it was really eye-opening to me. Like, wow, you can make, because she's doing the work in other states outside of North Carolina to help as the chair for the Dem Party in that state. She's doing it to basically raise the tide for all ships.
Yep.
And again, I'm no different. I'm very frivolous with certain things. That, okay, no smoothie at the East Main Club. Let me make sure that I put $10 towards a candidate and maybe help fund what's going on in North Carolina for those efforts. And it's nominal and it's a little bit, and it's something that is really, really important because, just being candid after what happened in November, the GOP is scared.
Yeah.
And they should be because they're number one, the people have spoken where they're recognizing, you know what? This bag of goods isn't all what it's cracked up to be. We're getting what we voted for, and we did not vote for this. And then in turn, there are people that sat out that realize, oh, God, I got to do something because I can't let this kind of continue. If I can kind of cut into the next 4 years in the next 2 with these races, let me do that.
And that's why I admittedly, on a day-to-day basis, I keep talking about keeping people inspired and keeping people plugged in and as best I can, reminding folk, you got to be in the mix. You cannot, I know that it's a lot. We all know that it's a lot. We all are blessed to be able to do the thing that we do in whatever capacity it is. And if you say that you care about X, Y, and Z, then you kind of have to, put your suit on and go out there and do something about it. And that may mean, to Rick's point, small monetary contributions to spread it out. You said it best, Rico. Tighten. If you're trying to find a way, then look at it and say, you know what, I'm gonna make my coffee this month that I take with me. I'm not gonna do. And listen, nobody take offense to that. I'm not trying to get in anybody's pocketbook or spend anybody else's money. I've said that before. I just believe, going to Rico's point and to Rick's point, that if we're going to fight this, then we've got to ask ourselves, what is it that we're willing to adjust in our lifestyle to be more prepared to fight? And it may mean something like maybe you can't give money, but you have time, and you want to be one that's one of the change agents. Yeah. So that may mean you go and find a local office and say, hey, listen, what can I do to help? I got 4 hours a day after I drop off the grandkids. Then I can go help. I can come help y'all out, and then go back and pick up the grandkids later. I don't know what that is, but I'm just saying we have to be the ones that pick up the tools that we have and fight.
And really, to the I'm sorry, Rico. Really, to that, Richard, if a person can't swing the $100, or in my example that I said, how about a little bit of time?
Yeah,
work a phone bank, pass out some flyers. Yeah. But, how about contact your ward or whatever and say, I'm available to drive people to the polls if you want. Yeah. There's so many things that people can do. It's not all monetary. I use that as an example. But to your point, Rico, there's so many other things that we can do.
And I'm going to take it even to the ground level of just changing not just your lifestyle, your approach. I am guilty of this as anybody. We have these amazing devices called smartphones. We have this amazing access called Wi-Fi and the internet. People use ChatGPT for budgeting, for weight loss, for finding out the capital of whatever obscure country and what's a great 3-day weekend in Montana. Ask about a candidate.
Yeah.
Ask about this. Ask about that. And again, the thing is, ChatGPT is bipartisan. Google's bipartisan. It'll just give you information. But you have to take the step to kind of, I don't watch CNN anymore. Not because I don't I just changed my cable because I don't want to pay the ridiculous amount. Mm-hmm. But I unplug there, but I plug in somewhere else. Mm-hmm. You can do that. You can use your access to certain devices, which are it's a privilege to have a smartphone. It's a privilege to be able to get to the internet, but to use that privilege appropriately. And that's what a lot of people take 10 minutes instead of playing Candy Crush or watching, for the fourth season of Stranger Things, I'm behind to get to season 5. I'm going to take that time to maybe let me find out a little bit more. I'll go to a CNN. I'll go to a Fox News. I'll go to some of to see the differing opinions and finding out what's going on. What are the big races, contested seats, seeing what's what, finding out who the candidates are, finding out what they stand for, finding out about Michelle Tafoya, which I'm going to later today. And so these are the things that use the information to get a better understanding of what the landscape is. And then act accordingly. To Rick's point, if it's not going to be monetary, use time, and so forth, and just kind of go from there.
Yeah, you're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and I'm hanging with my great friends Rick Kasprzak and Enrico Mowatt here in studio today, talking about the stuff that we can do, should do, and if you don't know, ask somebody, as the phrase goes. That's okay. It's better than okay. But sometimes I think the tools that we have in front of us, we look over them to something else, and for whatever reason, we all can do that. I won't say make that mistake, but we all can be susceptible to that. Is maybe a better word. The House, I've talked about the Senate, U.S. Senate. The House is also suspected to have some 20 to 22, some say as high as 28 seats that they could lose. And some of that's driven because some are not going to run again. And that if that's true, my concern about that, and this is where Democrats, it hurts when you catch something underneath I know I've done it more times than you can. Can you imagine how many times I've done that during a daily show?
I cannot.
Okay. We were having a conversation about the people that are leaving leaving Congress, the House and Senate. I was having this conversation this weekend with my sister. And it's great if there are Republicans that are leaving, that are not going to run again. They're punking out, and that's okay. We'll take that punking out. What we don't want to see, and this is where the Democratic machine, all parts of it, has got to be ready to fight in these races. And here's what I mean by this. If just because they're leaving doesn't mean that, well, let me put it in a positive. We want to recognize that they're leaving and fill the void with the people that are going to be better than the Republicans that are leaving. Because the downside of them leaving is that they then put in people who are actually worse.
The devil that you know.
I mean, they're leaving. If it's true that there are Republicans that are not going to run again, okay, great. We as progressive liberal Democrats, up and down, left and right, in all parts of this country have got to say, okay, so then we got to push our organizational leaders, the Anderson Claytons and the state Democratic leadership and the federal Democratic leadership to get candidates to run for those seats, because doggone it, if they then elect people who are worse than the ones.
Well, and the interesting thing is that, and this is what frustrates me about the Democrats, because the messaging really should be, because 28 seats is a lot. And when you see, Marjorie Taylor Greene decide she's basically quitting. And when you see 28 seats of people not wanting to return or not running, and again, it might be age, it might be who knows what but there is a reason. And there's something that should be capitalized upon and spoken on from a messaging standpoint. And that's what frustrates me about Democratic messaging, is that, listen, there's got to be some type of dialogue and conversation where they're saying, hey, look, you know what? 28 seats are up for grabs. And regardless of what the reason is, there is a mass exodus of GOP, member leaving the House. Time to galvanize, time to take advantage of it. The party is weakening. There's a lot of dissension. You talked about what was happening in Indiana with the governor. Speak to that. Let that be. Let's create a super PAC and let the three of us, and let's start pushing out. And it's not mudslinging. These are just plain pure facts.
Yeah.
They're not feelings. And so talking about these things and saying, hey, if you are one of these 28 seats, and this affects, where you guys are geographically, you have to do something, because you know what? Whereas it could be better, it could get much worse. And you saw what happened in Wisconsin with the Chainsaw Massacre, pushing a candidate and pushing money into that race, and it failing miserably and blowing up in his face. There's got to be dialogue about that. They've got to connect this. They've got to create this connective tissue and then form it in terms of a message.
Right, so now,
if
I were Minority Leader Jeffries, I'd be like, okay, so what are the 22 to 28 Republicans that may not run again, or seats that are in danger? Okay, we need to go full stop to make sure that we've got a candidate running in that race. And I know that people say, well, but we need to put our money toward where we're going to. We need to win in all fronts, and we can do both. We can put money toward, and energy toward, and shouldn't just say money, resources toward where we have risk of losing a seat and where there's opportunity to pick up a seat. We have to do both. Dr. Howard Dean said this a number of years ago. We have to have a 50-state strategy, which means that we then have to have an every district strategy. Yep. And so to your point, Rico, and we'll throw it to you, Rick, I would hope that Leader Jeffries, I would hope that Schumer and others, and I know we've got some listeners that like to get after me because I say things about Schumer and Jeffries and what they can do better. It's to help them, by the way. But to that end, I hope that they and other Democratic leading voices in the Democratic machine are looking at that and saying, we need to make sure we're prepared to pick up a couple of those seats, because they only need 4 to take over the House.
Right.
So,
4 out of 28. I like those odds.
So if we get 4 out of the total 435, I'm good with that. If we only get 4 seats, but I'd love to get 24 seats to really have that strong majority, so there's never a question about, what we're getting done. And that puts us in a position to go after impeaching Donald, to go after impeaching JD, and many other members of the administration.
DOG folks,
on and on.
Yeah.
Rick,
there's a couple things. Is Nancy Mace leaving?
She's talking about running for a senator.
She's talked about leaving her seat, and if I recall, she barely just skated in.
She ran as a Democrat
before
last election. Two elections. Her first win, she ran as a Democrat, then flipped parties.
And the last election,
she
didn't she
barely,
just skate in?
Skated in.
So it's like there's opportunity right there. If in fact, regardless of whether or not she runs again, she's painted this picture for herself that is not very flattering.
She is a personality-wise an ugly human being.
And the other last thing, Richard, you and I, I feel like I've talked to you about this so many times. I'm not sure that there's enough emphasis being placed on winning the Senate back, because who determines who's on the Supreme Court?
Yep. That's right.
It's the Senate. Okay.
The Senate
we have this 6-3, and that's conservative majority that is they equally are destroying the country.
And God
with
forbid
Trump.
in this next term that if Sotomayor or Kagan's health fails, we know that statistically Jackson is in better health than probably all of them, all 9 of them, and but Kagan and Sotomayor have had some health issues,
Right. Yeah.
and God forbid one of them were to pass away, and then we go to a 7-2. That's during this administration. So Rick's right. We need to make sure that we get the Senate back. Yeah. Do you all understand the bouncing ball? We get the House back and the Senate. It does allow us to create a little bit of a firewall with regard to the Supreme Court.
Right.
So, read your civics books for those in the back of the room. Man, oh man, yeah, I know. See,
that was good.
This is what happens, guys. This is what happens for those of you. I make these guys laugh because they give me kind of purview, and they give me the permission to trash talk. And I love that about them both. Thanks for hanging with me this morning, Enrico Mowatt and Rick Kasprzak. Thanks for you guys for being with us all over the country. It's been awesome to hang with you. As always, as I say, take a deep breath and make your life count. We'll see you tomorrow.
Would it be crazy if you packed your bags and left for a week, a month, a year? What if you left for 2 years? What if you were going far away to help in a village on the edge of the Gobi Desert, to teach children and learn a thing or two about yourself? Would that be crazy? Peace Corps. Life is calling. How far will you go?
If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Last year, Mitch, 50, railroad worker, income 100 G's a year, score 630, called to consolidate his debt with a cash-out refinance. Team Hochberg loan officer Johnny Hendrickson helped Mitch pay off his debt